What's up, everybody? Back for another Star Wars video. In this one, we're going to talk about Robin and pretty much give my final thoughts on her. I used her quite a bit with a different variety of teams, so I feel like I get a gist of what she does and how good she does at doing that job, right? I'll probably still do a few more Robin showcases. I have a Dot showcase I already have recorded. I might re-record it because I have some new ideas with that one. But that'll be in the future, right? Now, first things first, light cone. I think you can perfectly get away with running the free light cone once you max it out. The thing with this light cone is it gives her a bunch of attack, right? It increases damage dealt by all allies and gives her more energy. And while the energy isn't like make or break, it does help in certain scenarios, which is pretty nice. You know, like me popping a skill and then I get my ult. If I didn't have the light cone, I wouldn't have that much energy, and it can cost you a cycle or two if you just don't get the energy because you're not rocking her light cone. And the damage dealt is nice, help clear out some more cycles or even defeat a boss, whatever it may be. Big W there. Plus, the attack boost also increases her damage. I'm not too worried about her damage too much per se. I don't have her E6, so it's not like I'm just banking on Robin DPS. It's going crazy, but it is additional damage at the end of the day. Now, one thing I really like about Robin, right, is her talent, or not her talent, sorry. It's in the talent thing, so to click on it. Is when the battle begins, character's action is advanced forward by 25%. That means when you use Robin, you'll be able to pop her skill, which increases damage dealt by allies by 50%. This is good because, let's say, I know Ruan Mei technically with her technique will activate her skill frame one, right? Well, let's say you have no technique points or you just can't use your technique, right? You would lose out on 32% damage and the weakness break efficiency increased by 50% because Ruan Mei acted after DPS, right? Now, for me, my Ruan Mei is at 36 speed. However, my Jinglu has more speed. My Jingyun has more speed. My Akron is a special case she doesn't have. My Black Swan doesn't, so she would be able to do it after. Kafka has more speed, so I'm attacking with these three characters before Ruan Mei would be able to proc her skill, meaning they miss out on 32% damage and the 50% break efficiency, right? With Robin, you don't have to worry about that too much because even with 121 speed, she always goes first, at least for me, and boom, she's good to go. You get the 50% damage dealt, right? This is a big W because it is only one attack or two or three attacks, but that definitely can add up. And all the times you've had to go through that and the character you're fighting has lived on 1 HP, you could have beat, right? Now, another thing I love about Robin is, of course, the action advance for all allies. However, it can be a bit hard to really get it right with some team comps. You really have to think about when is the perfect time to trigger that, because if you hold on it for too long, you are going to be missing out on all the attack buffs, right? 22.8%, plus all the damage Robin would be dealing on her own is also a thing to consider there. Plus, she has the follow-up crit damage shenanigans going on. So if you hold on to Robin ult a little too long trying to get the best out of the action advancement, you could be screwing yourself over on the extra damage you could be dealing. So do keep that in mind with Robin. Now, another thing that bothers me about Robin is because the action advance is based on her ultimate, I find myself not liking when I'm not running her with Bronya or someone with a lot of speed, right? Like Kafka, who is increasing her speed through her light cone. She has just high speed in general. I really like that because the more times you attack when Robin is in her ult, the more energy she's getting to ult again, plus the more damage she is going to be dealing on her own, and you just want to make the full use of her ultimate, right? The more times you act in her ultimate, the more damage you're doing because you do more damage when her ult is up. And then, of course, if you get out of the ult, if you don't have enough energy, that's a yikes, right? So obviously Robin's going to work the best on a follow-up attack team, such as like Dr. Ratio, Venturine, Kalara, Jue, Himiko, Herta, pretty much anyone with follow attack, right? Because they are going to get more attacks in, which leads to more damage dealt because you're doing it in the ult. Plus, it'll give her more energy to always be in her ult. big W there. Now I can go on a full rant about the follow-up attack team and why I think it is not as crazy as everyone thinks. For a certain reason, I think Gush Smack even mentioned it. You kind of have to spend money to really get the full optimal use and not just like half-ass certain parts of the team, right? I think that's ultimately why I decided I'm not going to summon for Topaz. I think I am going to have to cave for Boot Hill. I did a poll on my channel, and pretty much a lot of people were saying, oh, like, oh, we don't know your teams and stuff, which, to be fair, I never said what I had on that post. But a lot of people wanted me to save for Firefly. I think I'm going to pre-farm a little bit of Boot Hill stuff and then summon when he drops. And if I get him, big W, right? I'll try him out. Hopefully his light cone doesn't make a make or break situation. It's kind of like someone like Acheron, where Acheron's not a make or break, but having the extra, crit damage, damage dealt, and the whole getting an extra debuff is very, very strong, and I'm hoping Boot Hill's not like that. But yeah, follow-up attack team, it's really good for Robin, but there's a lot of things you have to consider with that. I'll probably make a whole video on that later, so if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But anyway, Robin, still a very, very, very strong support. It feels weird. Like, if you don't have speed manipulation, then you're not getting a lot of attacks in, and I feel like you could definitely end up with just not wasting Robin ult, but getting Robin ult off, only attacking a few times, and then you're sitting there with half her ult filled up. You're not anywhere close to getting it back, even after a skill, and I feel like nothing really happened. In that small scenario, I feel like having a different character would be a little bit more helpful. Plus, I mean, she still has to compete with Sparkle and Ruan Mei, so when you're using characters such as Don Hang or QQ, who use a lot of skill points, Sparkle's obviously still better. Ruan Mei on the dot team is probably still better as well, just because break efficiency, she gives speed. Dot characters like speed. It's rough, right? She has her niche in the follow-up attack team, and she can be very useful elsewhere. But I mean, to be fair, I guess that's the same with Sparkle. She wants to be QQ or Don Hang, but you can run her with other teams. So she's still up there, right? But I feel like I have a better time using Ruan Mei on other teams than her main one, which I don't really know if Ruan Mei has like a main team. I feel like she's just kind of on everything. So I guess that's a little unfair to compare her there. But even with using like Bronya, I can imagine using Sparkle is a similar process, right? With the skill, just adding the skill points. I feel like I have a better time doing that than running Sparkle, or not Sparkle, sorry, Robin on other teams. Like, I've used Bronya with pretty much every single team except for Dot, obviously, because it would make too much sense. And I find myself not enjoying using Robin on these other teams. I'm trying to think of what my favorite team with Robin is. I like the Dot team, right? But I feel like I'm a little biased for the Dot in general. She did cook on that team, and having a full-on action advance team is also very fun. Do note with that team, it can be a little scary because I wasn't running a sustain, and I know if you have Sparkle and you're just running triple action advance, then you really would have to make sure you have a good DPS there. I feel like Robin with action advance, such as Bronya, is very, very fun. I think Jinglu Acheron with both of them was probably the most fun I had using Robin, which isn't her most optimal setup, but being able to attack, action advance, attack, action advance, attack, action advance, attack is so funny. All right, and that's not even considering the third character that you're bringing. Which you could use Aventurine as like a sustain. You could use like Woho as a sustain. It really depends on what you got. If I had Sparkle, I'd definitely do the triple action advance team. That team would go absolutely crazy. It'd be so funny. Depending on who I'm using, it would totally shred through whoever I'm fighting. I'd probably say Jinglu would probably be really good for that one. Jinglu or Blade would be good for it. Just because she doesn't use skill points, so I wouldn't have to worry about running out of skill points and be like, damn, my DPS doesn't do damage. But yeah, no, Dot team and double action advance definitely are the teams that I prefer the most for Robin. I know, like I said, technically not the most optimal because she was follow-up attack, But I mean, hey, you don't really have to run optimal to get everything done. I feel like as long as you're clearing, and let's see, and watch, I have to run all the way over here because I was by the jukebox. I feel like as long as you're clearing under the 20 cycles, it really doesn't matter how optimal you are, as long as the team works, right? Like, for example, I was using the Jouet team, and while I was not super impressed by her damage, I feel like it definitely could have been better. I still cleared it in, like, what, 4 or 5 cycles, right? Which is pretty much where you want to be at, right? Now, if I were to run like another team, let's say you're running like Robin, Ratio, Woho, and like uh, not Panic, because Panic would actually pretty good. Ho too, I guess. Let's dumb down like Lynx and like Gwenaifen, right? Let's say you're running this, and it's not the most optimal team, but like you get your debuffs from Gwenaifen and Ratio. You have a sustain. Robin is helping you out. If you get it done with this team, I feel like that's fine, right? If you're not running optimal, even though people are like, oh, we're supposed to run certain characters. Well, anyway, I'm getting into a whole tangent with that, right? I could talk about hours and hours about people are like, oh, you're supposed to run this character on the optimal setup, and people get upset. But regardless of that, let me know what your favorite teams are with Robin. Are you enjoying Robin yourself? What issues do you have with Robin? Let me know in the comments. And of course, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Might be that dot team showcase. I'm not too sure where I want to go with that. I'm very tired right now. Got a lot to do in the morning, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Catch you on the next one.